I never imagined that a single text could change everything about my weekend. Hey, emergency. One of the bridesmaids bailed. Can you come help?
Pink heels mandatory.
My cousin's name flashed on the screen, and I blinked at it in disbelief.
Me?
A bridesmaid? Wearing pink heels? I laughed nervously, spinning in my chair at my apartment. I had always been a little unconventional. Most people knew me as a quiet, responsible guy, the one who never caused trouble, who kept to routines, who wore button-down shirts to work and didn't experiment much beyond a carefully trimmed beard. But there was another side to me, a side no one had ever really seen, not even my girlfriend, Emma. That side loved silk, lace, and makeup. It thrived in dresses, heels, and the thrill of transformation. It was my escape, my secret thrill, something I'd only indulge in when I was alone. Until today. I stared at the text again, feeling a rush of both fear and excitement. Could I actually do this? Could I walk into my cousin's wedding not as myself, but as someone else entirely, someone delicate, elegant, and undeniably feminine? The thought made my pulse race. And yet, a part of me, a small, daring part, said yes.
You want to try?
You've wanted to for a long time. Emma had been my anchor in the storm of my dual identity. She knew I was adventurous in small ways, always encouraging my curiosity without prying too much. But even she had no idea about my real passion for crossdressing. What would she think if she saw me in pink heels, a soft dress, and makeup perfectly applied to accentuate my features? I swallowed nervously. There was only one way to find out. The apartment felt both cozy and confining as I began to prepare. My wardrobe had always been a mix of regular clothing and pieces I kept for private indulgence, a few dresses, a selection of wigs, and makeup kits neatly tucked away. Tonight, all of it was coming out. I carefully selected a soft pink dress, delicate yet elegant, one that I knew would make me feel confident but still blend in at a wedding. The heels, bright, glossy, slightly terrifying, sat waiting beside it. I stared at them for a long moment, imagining the clumsy steps I might take, the strange stares, the thrill of standing tall in a way I never did as Alex, the ordinary version of me. Sitting at my vanity, I opened my makeup kit. Each item felt like a tool of transformation, a wand to conjure the person I had always dreamed of becoming, even if just for a few hours. Foundation smoothed my skin, giving it a flawless finish. Contour and blush sculpted my cheeks, softening my jawline and adding warmth. Eyeliner and mascara enhanced my eyes, making them appear larger, more expressive, alive. Lipstick, soft pink, natural, yet noticeable, finished the look. I studied my reflection in the mirror, marveling at the subtle but profound changes. For a moment, I didn't feel nervous or guilty. I felt whole. Alex, the side I hid away, smiled back at me from the mirror. It was a small victory, a secret celebration. But reality intruded.
Emma.
My parents. The cousins at the wedding. Would they see me for who I was, or would they just see a performance?
I heard my phone buzz again. Emma.
Be careful, okay? I know how much you love experimenting, but don't get carried away. Her message made me grin nervously. She didn't know exactly what I meant, but her words gave me courage. She trusted me. That trust was a safety net, even if she wasn't fully aware of what I was about to do. By the time I slipped into the dress and balanced myself in the pink heels, the nervous anticipation had evolved into a thrilling energy. Each step made me acutely aware of my posture, my sway, the click of the heels against the hardwood floor. I practiced walking, spinning slightly in front of the mirror, laughing softly at the newness of it all. This was a side of me I had only ever dreamed of showing. Tonight, the dream was real. I took a deep breath and grabbed my clutch, checking the reflection one last time. The transformation was complete. I wasn't just Alex anymore. I was someone bold, elegant, and undeniably captivating. The city streets outside would be filled with friends, family, and strangers, and I would move among them with a confidence I rarely felt in my everyday life. And yes, there was fear. Fear of judgment, fear of embarrassment, fear of being discovered. But for the first time, fear and excitement danced together, a heady mixture that made my pulse quicken and my smile grow. As I stepped out of the apartment, the pink heels clicking against the pavement, I felt a strange mixture of vulnerability and power. Everyone would see me. Everyone would have an impression, and no one could take back the first look. My cousin would be relieved, the bride would be happy, and I would experience something exhilarating. Something that felt like freedom, like living a secret I had only whispered to myself in private. And then, just as I hailed a cab, the voice of a neighbor rang out from the lobby. "Wow. Alex? Is that really you?" My heart jumped. There he was, James, the cousin's next-door neighbor, who always had a playful, teasing streak. He looked genuinely shocked, his eyebrows raised, but there was a spark in his eyes that made my stomach flip. In that instant, I realized this wasn't just a wedding. This was a test, a challenge, a risk. And with that risk came a thrill I hadn't felt in years. I smiled nervously, adjusting the strap of my dress and taking a careful step forward. Hi," I said softly, heels clicking. "Yes, it's me." His grin widened. "Well, you look amazing.
I didn't know you had this side of you."
The cab door shut behind me, and the city lights blurred as we drove toward the wedding venue. My pulse pounded, my mind raced, and every sense was heightened. The wedding awaited, and with it, the suspense of whether I could pull off this role without a single slip, without anyone discovering the secret I had so carefully nurtured. Tonight, I wasn't just a cousin filling in for a missing bridesmaid. Tonight, I was someone else entirely. Pink heels, elegant dress, and all, and the world was about to see me in a way I had never been seen before. And deep down, beneath the excitement and the fear, a thrilling thought took root. Maybe, just maybe, no one would forget me after tonight. The cab ride felt like a roller coaster of nerves and excitement. Every bump in the road made my heels click a little louder than I wanted, and every glance in the rearview mirror at my reflection made my stomach twist. Alex, the side of me I rarely showed, was alive tonight. The soft pink dress clung to my frame, delicate but bold, and the heels elevated me both physically and emotionally. I was exposed, yet empowered. The streets blurred past, the city lights flickering across my cheeks, highlighting the makeup I had painstakingly applied. Contour, blush, eyeliner, mascara, soft pink lipstick, all crafted to transform not just my appearance, but my confidence, my very presence. For years, this had been my secret life, a thrill I indulged only behind closed doors. Tonight it was public, dangerous, and deliciously exhilarating. As we approached the wedding hall, a knot of anxiety formed in my stomach. What if someone recognized me? What if Emma had come along unexpectedly? What if my cousins laughed or whispered, sensing the unfamiliar energy I brought? The thought made my palms sweat and my heartbeat pound like a drum. I took a deep breath and practiced walking in my heels in the cab, the subtle sway of my hips, the posture I had studied countless times in front of my mirror. Every step made me more aware of my body, of how it moved differently when I was Alex. My mind whirled between fear and excitement, shame and pride. I was playing a dangerous game, but I loved it. As I entered the wedding hall, the rich scent of flowers and fresh linens enveloped me. Guests mingled in sparkling dresses and tailored suits, laughter and chatter filling the air. I felt an immediate pang of self-consciousness. Every movement, every glance seemed magnified. My secret, my identity as Alex, was now a visible part of the world. I scanned the crowd, searching for familiar faces. Emma wasn't here yet, which was both a relief and a source of tension. If she walked in while I was fully in character, would she laugh, scold me, or simply accept it? The uncertainty gnawed at me. Then there was James, the neighbor who had noticed me earlier. He stood near the entrance, casual but alert, and our eyes met for a brief, electrifying moment. His gaze wasn't judgmental, it was intrigued, curious, and maybe a little amused. That tiny spark of recognition sent a thrill through me, mingling with anxiety. If he spoke to anyone, would my secret slip? I found a quiet corner and checked my reflection in a tall mirror. The transformation was complete, my skin smooth and radiant, eyes accentuated, lips perfectly tinted, wig in place, and heels elevating my stature. Every detail mattered, every adjustment a tiny reassurance that I could pull this off. I practiced a small twirl, feeling the fabric of the dress brush against my legs, the heels clicking rhythmically. Each movement reminded me that I was more than Alex, the ordinary guy. I was Alex the bridesmaid, a persona both thrilling and vulnerable, exposed yet intoxicating. Every glance at the guests made my heart race. Every whispered comment, every smile directed my way made me hyper-aware of my body, my voice, my gestures. I was performing, yes, but for the first time, the performance wasn't just for others. It was for me. Then came the announcement. The bride was missing one bridesmaid, and she needed someone to step in immediately. My pulse spiked. This was it, the moment I had been preparing for, the test of whether I could truly inhabit Alex in public. I felt a tap on my shoulder.
James.
"Looks like you're up," he said softly, a playful grin tugging at his lips. "Ready to steal the show?" I swallowed hard. I think so," I admitted, trying to steady my trembling hands. As I walked toward the bride, each step in the pink heels was deliberate, measured. I felt eyes on me, friends, family, strangers, and the thrill of attention coursed through my veins. My heart pounded with a mixture of fear and exhilaration. Every misstep could expose me. Every glance could betray my secret. The bride smiled warmly as I approached, relieved. "Thank you so much for helping out. You look perfect." I nodded, offering a smile that felt both practiced and genuine. Inside, my mind raced. I had made it this far without being recognized. But the danger lingered. Emma could arrive at any moment. James could mention something. Someone could notice the subtle difference between Alex and me. The ceremony began, and I moved with the other bridesmaids, my heels clicking softly on the polished floor. Every gesture, every sway of the dress, every careful step felt magnified. The eyes of the guests followed me, some admiring, some curious, all unaware of the secret identity I carried. I felt a rush of confidence as I realized I was doing it, completely inhabiting this role. But the thrill was intertwined with fear. A stray glance from a cousin, a whisper of recognition, or a sudden movement from Emma could unravel everything. James stayed nearby, his presence both reassuring and distracting. His gaze lingered longer than it should, making me acutely aware of every detail of my appearance. For a fleeting moment, I worried. Was he judging me? Admiring me? Or both? During a photo session, the photographer asked me to pose near a cluster of family members. My hands shook slightly as I adjusted my dress and practiced a smile. A cousin leaned in to whisper something, and I froze, unsure if my reaction would give me away. "Are you okay?" James asked softly, noticing my hesitation. I nodded quickly, heart racing. "Yeah, just nervous," I admitted. He smiled, but his eyes sparkled with mischief. "You're doing amazing. No one would ever guess." That reassurance made my chest tighten with relief and tension. Could I really maintain this persona for the rest of the event? Could I keep walking, smiling, talking, and pretending without faltering? Every heartbeat reminded me of the stakes. Later, I stepped outside to take a breath. The evening air was cool, and I leaned against the railing, heels clicking softly on the concrete. I glanced down at them, pink, glossy, slightly precarious, and felt a symbolic weight. They represented more than just a wardrobe choice. They were a tangible reminder of my risk, my transformation, my boldness. A gust of wind caught the hem of my dress, fluttering it against my legs. I laughed nervously, caught between embarrassment and exhilaration. Alex was alive tonight. Visible, vulnerable, thrillingly real. But the suspense lingered. Emma had still not arrived, and I could sense eyes tracking me from inside. Each smile, each compliment, each whisper heightened the tension. The wedding was a perfect stage for my transformation, but also a perfect trap for exposure. The ceremony was in full swing, and my heels clicked against the polished floor like a metronome, keeping time with my rising anxiety. Every movement felt like a tightrope walk. The guests smiled and chatted, unaware that the perfect bridesmaid in pink heels and a soft dress was actually Alex, the side of me that I rarely allowed to exist in public. The exhilaration surged with each step, but so did the fear. One misstep, one glance from the wrong person, and the carefully constructed facade could shatter. Midway through the ceremony, as the bride and groom exchanged vows, I felt a subtle tug at the back of my dress. My heart skipped a beat. A small seam had caught on the pew behind me, threatening to tear if I moved too quickly. I froze for a second, my mind racing. Could I discreetly fix it without drawing attention? I bent slightly, careful to keep my posture elegant, fingers fumbling at the hem. Sweat prickled at my brow, mixing with the heat of the room. Every eye in the hall was on the couple, yet the tightness in my chest made it impossible to forget that my secret identity hung by a thread. Then came a murmur from the side. I turned slightly, heart in my throat, and caught James's eyes on me. His expression was a mix of concern and curiosity, and my stomach twisted. Was he about to say something? Would he expose me, or silently enjoy the spectacle? I took a deep breath and adjusted the dress as discreetly as possible, praying that the moment passed unnoticed. The ceremony ended, and guests began to move toward the reception hall. I followed, heels clicking rhythmically. The adrenaline was intoxicating. Each glance at my reflection in the mirrored walls made me hyper-aware of the transformation, the soft waves of my wig framing my face, the subtle contouring of my cheeks, the gentle curve of the dress against my hips, the pink heels elevating both my posture and my confidence. I caught a glimpse of Emma entering the room. Her eyes widened, and my heart froze. She hadn't expected to see me like this, and her gaze lingered longer than comfortable. Relief mixed with dread. She hadn't said anything, but the moment felt electric, charged with unspoken questions. Would she laugh, scold, or embrace the side of me? Just as I was taking a careful step toward the buffet, a guest brushed past me, their elbow catching the strap of my dress. The flutter of fabric was like a warning siren. My fingers shot out to steady the dress, my heart racing. The guest barely noticed, moving on, but the reminder of vulnerability sent a thrill of fear through me. James appeared beside me again. "You're handling this like a pro," he whispered, his voice low and teasing. "But don't get too comfortable." I laughed nervously, the sound almost foreign in my own ears. Every step I took in the pink heels was calculated, every gesture deliberate. I was performing, yes, but performing for myself as much as for everyone else. And the tension of being discovered only heightened the exhilaration. Later, on the dance floor, the DJ announced a slow song. Couples paired off, and I felt my stomach tighten. This was a moment that could reveal everything. One misstep, one loss of balance in the heels, and my secret could be exposed. I gripped James's hand lightly as we danced. The connection was electric, subtle, but undeniable. I could feel the contrast between the elegant exterior I projected and the racing, vulnerable Alex beneath it. The pink heels clicked softly against the floor, each movement a reminder of the risk I had taken, the transformation I had embraced. A sudden misstep brought me dangerously close to tripping. James steadied me instantly, a warm hand on my back, eyes filled with understanding. My breath caught, not just from relief, but from the realization that someone truly saw me. Alex, the side of me I hid, was acknowledged, perhaps even admired. Then came the unexpected twist. A distant cousin approached, frowning slightly. "Alex, isn't that unusual for you?" Her voice carried just enough doubt to make my heart race. I forced a smile, trying to maintain composure. Just helping out," I said softly, praying she wouldn't probe further. The cousin tilted her head, curiosity mingled with amusement. "You look different. In a good way. But really, Alex." James's hand squeezed mine under the table. His eyes met mine, silently saying, "You're doing fine. Just keep going." My heart pounded. Exposure seemed imminent, yet the thrill was intoxicating. Every compliment, every raised eyebrow, every glance from a family member heightened the suspense. The duality of exhilaration and fear became almost unbearable. The reception continued, and I moved among the guests, balancing conversation, smiles, and the constant awareness of my secret. I caught Emma watching me from across the room, her expression unreadable but intrigued. The mixture of vulnerability and empowerment I felt was overwhelming. I realized that crossdressing wasn't just about clothes or makeup, it was about expression, about revealing a side of myself I rarely allowed anyone to see. And tonight, under the twinkling lights, amidst laughter and music, that side was alive. But the danger of discovery kept my adrenaline sharp, my senses heightened, my every move deliberate. As the evening wore on, an unexpected announcement made my pulse spike. One of the bridesmaids had lost her earring, a delicate diamond stud, and the bride asked me to retrieve it from the garden, where she had dropped it earlier. The garden was dimly lit, shadows stretching across the lawn. Every step in the pink heels felt precarious. The soft fabric of my dress brushed against my legs, and the wind threatened to catch the hem. I felt the full vulnerability of my transformation, exposed, elegant, yet at constant risk of being discovered or tripping. I crouched to search for the missing earring, the soft click of the heels against the stone path echoing in the night. A movement in the shadows made my heart leap. Was it a guest? A neighbor? Someone who might see through my disguise? A hand suddenly touched my shoulder. I froze, breath catching. Slowly, I turned, expecting a stern relative or a judgmental guest. Instead, it was James, smiling reassuringly. "Found it," he whispered, holding up the sparkling earring. Relief washed through me, but so did a surge of emotional intensity. He had seen me at my most vulnerable, at my most transformed, and yet his expression held admiration, not judgment. I felt a thrill of connection, a dangerous mixture of exposure and trust. Before I could speak, a gust of wind caught the dress, lifting it slightly. My wig shifted. My reflection in the glass of the nearby window revealed Alex in full bloom, pink heels, soft dress, makeup, and a vulnerability I had never shared with anyone. I realized then, tonight, I was completely exposed, emotionally, physically, and socially. And yet, I had never felt more alive. The dance ended, the reception continued, and Emma approached, curiosity in her eyes. I could sense the questions forming on her lips, the judgment, the intrigue, the possibility of acceptance or rejection. James lingered, a supportive presence. The guests continued to celebrate, unaware of the secret drama unfolding in the middle of the party. And as I adjusted the pink heels once more, ready to face Emma's inevitable questions, a sudden knock on the reception hall door sent a chill down my spine.
Who was it?
A neighbor? A relative? Or someone who might finally expose Alex to the entire family? My pulse raced. Every sensation, the thrill of heels, the delicate sway of the dress, the vulnerability of makeup, the weight of secrecy, culminated in this single, tense moment. The climax of my evening had arrived, and nothing would ever be the same. The knock at the reception hall door echoed through the dimly lit room, sharp and unexpected. Conversations froze mid-laugh, glasses paused in midair, and I felt my stomach drop. My pink heels clicked nervously against the floor as I glanced toward James. His expression was unreadable, a mixture of curiosity and concern, and I felt an immediate jolt of panic. Emma's eyes followed mine, narrowing slightly. Something in her gaze made my chest tighten. She had been watching me all evening, processing this side of me I had carefully hidden for so long. Now, with a mysterious interruption, everything teetered on the edge of exposure. I took a shaky breath, reminding myself to stay composed. My hands clutched the edges of my dress, the soft fabric brushing my fingertips, and I tried to steady my heels as I approached the door. Anticipation, the fear, the exhilaration, all collided into a whirlwind of emotion I could hardly control. I reached for the doorknob, every muscle tense, and slowly turned it. A familiar face appeared, but not the one I expected. My cousin's aunt, someone I rarely saw outside family gatherings, stood there, holding a small camera. Her eyes sparkled mischievously, a sly grin tugging at her lips. Well, she said, her voice playful but loaded with curiosity. Look at you, Alex. Or should I say, our unexpected bridesmaid. The words hit me like a jolt of electricity. My secret, my carefully nurtured identity as Alex, was suddenly dangling in the spotlight. The thrill surged, but so did a wave of terror. Would she keep this to herself, or was she about to announce it to the entire hall? James stepped close, a reassuring hand brushing my back. Relax, he murmured softly. I've got your back. I nodded, though my heart pounded. Every sense was heightened. The subtle scent of perfume from nearby guests, the click of my heels, the faint rustle of my dress in the breeze. I felt completely exposed, yet impossibly alive. A guest in the back chuckled, oblivious to the tension I felt coiling in my chest. But Emma's gaze was sharp, calculating. She moved a step closer, and I felt the weight of her curiosity pressing against me. Would she accept this side of me, or was this the moment everything I had hidden would unravel? The aunt raised the camera, aiming it in my direction. Smile, Alex, she said, the playful tone of her voice masking an edge of anticipation. This is a photo everyone's going to remember. My pulse raced. I could feel the heat of the spotlight, the weight of judgment and fascination pressing on me. The pink heels felt suddenly heavier, the dress tighter, the wig slightly uncomfortable. Every detail of my transformation, the soft makeup, the flowing dress, the delicate shoes, was now under scrutiny. I forced a smile, my lips trembling slightly. The room held its collective breath, and in that instant, I realized just how vulnerable and alive I felt. Alex, the side of me I rarely allowed anyone to see, was fully revealed. And yet, beneath the fear, there was exhilaration. Every step I had taken tonight, every careful movement, every flirtation with danger, had led to this moment. The aunt clicked the camera, the flash lighting up the room in a blinding burst. For a moment, everything froze. The guests, the music, the whispers. And then, a subtle shift. The flash reflected in the mirrored wall across the hall. I caught a glimpse of myself, Alex in full bloom. Pink heels, elegant dress, makeup, and a nervous, thrilling vulnerability that was impossible to hide. Emma's hand rested lightly on her chin, her eyes wide with intrigue. James gave me a small, encouraging nod. The cousin's aunt grinned, holding up the camera for emphasis. I think this one's going to make quite the impression, she said. I felt my breath catch. The moment was electric, suspended between exposure and acceptance, fear and exhilaration. One step, one word, one gesture could tip everything into chaos, or reveal a side of me I had only ever dreamed of sharing. Then came a sudden rustle from the other side of the hall. A guest, someone I hadn't noticed, was moving toward the door, eyes scanning the room. My heart raced. Was this the final test? The moment that could unravel everything I had carefully built tonight? I took a slow, deliberate step backward, the pink heels clicking softly but echoing loudly in my own ears. Every sense was alert. My fingers trembled slightly against the fabric of my dress, my chest tight with anticipation, my mind spinning with possibilities. Would this person see Alex, or just the playful bridesmaid everyone assumed I was? James squeezed my hand gently, grounding me. Whatever happens, he whispered, you've already made tonight unforgettable. I nodded, swallowing hard. The room seemed to hold its collective breath, the tension stretching taut like a wire ready to snap. And in that heartbeat, I realized the story was far from over. The flash of the camera, the distant shuffle of feet, the sharp intake of breath from Emma, all merged into a single, suspended moment. And then, the door creaked open just a fraction, and a shadow fell across the polished floor. I froze. Every nerve in my body screamed. The pink heels, the soft dress, the delicate makeup, All of it felt simultaneously like armor and vulnerability. The suspense was unbearable. One revelation, one glance, one word from the wrong person, and everything could change. I forced a small smile, though my stomach knotted with tension. Alex, my secret self, was alive, exposed, and teetering on the edge of discovery. And as the shadow at the door grew, I realized with a thrill-tinged dread that tonight would not end quietly. Someone was about to see Alex fully, and the world might never be the same again.